Well, 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 another week, another incredibly dramatic Creator Series race. There's lots to review today, just from my race alone, to be honest. I haven't got very long, actually, today, annoyingly. We've got about maybe an hour and a half or so. So I need to get on with it a little bit today. But yeah, there's so much to go through, so stick with us today. But hello, everybody, welcome in. Hope you're all well. Let's give some shout-outs. Thank you to Hammer for the Prime sub. Appreciate that. And Scott as well with the tier 1 sub. Appreciate you guys. Declan as well, dropping a tier 1 sub. 36 months subscribed, 3 years, and his 3-year celebration is 2-player cancelled. Very good. Very good. To be fair, Ben took it better than I expected. To be fair, I thought he was going to be absolutely raging. He wasn't. He wasn't too bad. He wasn't too bad. Right, well, let's crack on then, shall we, guys? Let's crack on. So the first thing I want to say is Creator Series is for fun, right? Don't lose sight of that. Now, before you jump down straight into the comment section and start spewing negativity, just chill, all right? I really enjoyed the race. I think most of the creators really enjoyed the most recent race, and I always really enjoy the racing. But I think some viewers sometimes just don't enjoy it for what it is. Creator Series isn't a serious competition. There is no prizes. The only thing on offer is bragging rights. That's it. There's no prizes. Every single creator and viewer are here for fun. Remember that, and if you're not having fun, if you're getting angry about it, maybe it's not for you. But most importantly, think of it more like an exhibition match, right? Whatever sport you want to use, snooker or tennis or football, whatever. Think of it like an exhibition match, right? Yes, it's competitive. Yes, you want to win, but ultimately it's for fun and the results don't really matter. Everybody there is having fun. It's like an exhibition match, all right? I just want to say that because we've had a bit of negativity the last few weeks, particularly the Clipbook clips, not necessarily aimed at me, but just overly negative comments that have just been potentially abusive and stuff. Just everybody just chill, all right? Obviously, the whole point of this Clipbook is to have some debate and to review incident stuff. You guys are more than welcome to debate and express your opinion, all this stuff, but just chill a little bit on the negativity, all right? Right, let's get on with it. All right, so the first thing. Wait, did Karim just raid? Oh my god, he did, Karim. Thank you so much for the raid, my friend. Welcome in. I love that Karim's raided for this. We're going to review the Karim incident later on. We'll get to that in a second. You're free to use Alex here? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Free to abuse me at all time. Take what's welcome in. Don't listen to the haters. Brilliant. Gwat's dropping a boldy over there. What's it like to have no hair? Yep, good. Thank you very much, Gwat's. Really appreciate that. All right. The other thing I want to address is that it's never my fault. Now, this is a common criticism labelled at me, and if it's regular, it must have some merit. Now, first of all, it's not true. Like, I do see myself as having fault of certain incidents, but clearly the way I express myself comes across as I am never at fault. Now, there's a few things here. First of all, yes, sometimes it is my fault. It absolutely is, and I admit it at the time. What I don't do is make a big deal out of it. So what do I account for? If I'm saying sorry or whoopsie, generally speaking, that's something I've done a little bit wrong. That's me admitting fault to something minor. Maybe I've slightly blocked someone in quali. Maybe I've accidentally made a little bit of contact with somebody. Something that doesn't really matter, but I've accidentally done something a little bit wrong, right? Sorry, whoopsie. That's admitted fault. Another level is my bad, or that's on me, or something along those lines, right? That's when I've done something that is wrong, but ultimately doesn't need making up for. Like, for example, if I accidentally outbrake myself and tap into the back of somebody and push them deep. What I'll normally do in response to something like that is not overtake, right? Not take advantage of that situation, but I have done something wrong and I'm admitting fault, but there's no need to be dramatic about it and to be penalised or to let somebody back through or whatever. Like, it's just something that I've done that's a little bit wrong and it needs some slight rectifying, but nothing too dramatic. And then you've got something when I actually do something wrong, when it's 100% my fault. I'll normally say something like, that's 100% my fault, or that's on me, or whatever it may be. This obviously happened, we'll review it in a bit, on Safso in this race, when I literally let him back through, because in my mind, it was 100% on me. Now, generally speaking, live during the races, I tend to judge incidents quite well, in my opinion. It's not very often that afterwards I'll go, I was completely wrong on that, or like, you know, I've completely reversed my opinion. Normally I judge it right, and as far as I'm aware, every single incident during the Creator Series race, I judge them all correctly live. We'll get into some more deeper analysis in just a moment. But generally speaking, I get it quite right. Now, the reason for that is I drive consciously. I don't make regular mistakes. I don't regularly smash into people and squeeze them off and spin somebody out. It doesn't happen very often because I drive purposefully and consciously. If I was having to admit mistakes and apologise 5 times a race, then I just shouldn't be driving like that in the first place. So you may not agree with some of my driving. The Vince incident is a fantastic example of that, where in my opinion, that was perfectly clean. Some other people agreed. I think the majority disagreed. That's absolutely fine. But in my mind, I'm sticking to my guns because I think that is clean. That's how I want to present myself. That's how I want to go racing. But obviously, sometimes you guys disagree, and that's absolutely fine. But it's not a mistake. I've not done something wrong in my mind. I've just driven the way I want to drive. If I'm having to apologize all the time, I'm driving wrongly, all right? Also, a big thing I think of why I come across as never admitting fault is that I don't tend to dwell on my own mistakes. I tend to overanalyze the actions of everybody. And because I don't tend to, do anything too outrageous where I need to make up for it and it's 100% on me and there's no mitigating circumstances, I generally don't dwell on the times I've made the mistake. What I would normally do, and we'll see this with the criminals later on, is go, yeah, so obviously that bit was on me, and then analyze the other bits that I'm unsure on. Normally that tends to be the other driver's actions. So what ends up happening is something might be my fault. I go, yeah, that's on me, and then move on. And then I end up analyzing the other part of the incident for 5 minutes. So the balance of fault, in terms of the amount of time spent analysing it, only 10% will be spent analysing my own fault, and 90% will be analysing quite often the lesser fault of other people. But because of that time offset, I think people then attribute that as me justifying it, me saying it's not my fault, etc. That isn't the case, because I've already said, yeah, like that was me, I went too deep, or I did this wrong, or I did that wrong, or I should have done this differently. That's all admitting fault. But I get it. Like I said, if it happens so often, it's such a regular criticism. It's clearly something that I'm doing wrong in the way I express myself, but I do admit fault. And hopefully this little segment has allowed you to understand how I admit fault, when I admit fault, and why it perhaps comes across that I don't admit fault all the times. But ultimately, yeah, it's not my fault most of the time, because otherwise I would drive differently. It's not very often. We'll see it in this after incident today, actually, but it's not very often that I've done something that's 100% on me, no mitigating circumstances. I've just done a bad mistake and I need to make up for it. That isn't very common. All right, does that all make sense, chat? Does that all make sense? That's your monologue to get us started today. We'll start to review some incidents in just a second, but there's your monologue. Does that make sense? But there was actually a really interesting conversation in my Discord just after the race on the weekend, and they were sort of echoing kind of what I was saying there, that like he does admit fault, but he does it in this way, so it makes it seem like this, which is kind of what I wanted to cover off in this. Does it make sense? Do you kind of agree with that? Because like I said, I do admit fault. It's more a perception of it. And, potentially there's some things I need to change in order to show that I'm admitting fault more. Or potentially it just kind of is what it is, and we're just going to have debates at the end of the time. What do you reckon? Jurgen Klopp levels of gegenpress going on. I don't know what that means, Razin. I do know who Jurgen Klopp is, and that's as much as I understand about that sentence. It's what it is. It does make sense. Cool. You're more self-aware than Ben. Let's shout out some subs before we carry on. Welcome, thank you for the tier 1 sub. 36 months subscribed, 3 years, beautiful. Good day. Do I need popcorn? Absolutely, yes. You always need popcorn for Clipbook. Sono Peak as well, dropped a 25 AED. I assume that's AED. I was going to say that was like UAE, but I don't think that's right. AED. No. UAE. I was right. There you go. Well, anyway, thank you very much for the 5 UAD on YouTube. Appreciate that. What if it wasn't your fault and you made a huge deal out of it? What would your Roblox fans think? Firing absolute shots. Brilliant. Very good. I don't know. Look, there's another part to it as well that obviously I'm quite known for the Clipbook, right? I analyze incidents. I like to analyze people's actions, people's mistakes. So it seems hypocritical when I'm making my own mistakes, and I get it. Like I do think that's part of it. People like to be like, oh, like what are you doing? Like you think you're so clean? Look at this. Oh, you think you're so good at judging incidents? Why have you driven like this? Like, yeah, I guess it makes sense. Let's go back to chat. Here we go. What are we saying? I want to see your response to that. Panning out for the YouTube video? Absolutely not. I've never seen Alex apologize this much. I haven't said the word sorry, so that's not true. Another thing is I do think people tend to over-apologize. I think a lot of the time you don't need to apologize for something that doesn't really matter. Like, no one's been hurt. It doesn't matter. But that's just that's a general thing for me. Can't disagree, says Mayday. You offer so much about incidents and over-analyze. People then focus on what they want to focus on. You say that, but obviously as the creator, I point you guys into a certain direction. So if I'm analyzing an incident and I've spent 90% of the time talking on the actions of the other person, but ultimately it was something that was maybe, even if it was only 60-40 on me, it's still mostly my fault, but I'm tending to analyze the other incident more. I'm kind of pointing people towards that a bit more, and that makes it seem like I'm pointing it away from my own actions, even though I've already admitted, oh yeah, what I did was wrong. So, but yeah, kind of. In the moment with adrenaline, it's hard to be at fault. But that's what I mean, is that normally live, I do call it correctly. It's not very often that afterwards I'll completely be like, oh no, I completely got that wrong at the time. And literally, all the incidents today, I don't think there's anything that I'm massively going to change my mind on when we analyse it in a second. Don't know what happens to can't comment. Well, you'll see in a second. People chat up after 5 seconds of, yeah, that bit was on me, and only hear the driver analysis. Yeah, maybe. How much creator series in a row? Oh, well, hopefully you'll see the instance today, Toppy. Yeah, we'll analyse the balance in a second. It's a football tactical style where a team immediately attempts to win back possession upon losing it. That's actually quite a good description, Bassett. I like it. It does make sense. Cool. Creator series needs PJ Tour. Very good. Right. I think I'm gonna catch up now. It's content series at the end of the day. Only time apologies are really needed when when brigading is done. Don't really know what that means. Or when someone deliberately goes out of their way to ruin someone's. Oh yeah, absolutely. That's obviously very rare. Right, I'm gonna have to skim read the rest, guys. Otherwise, we'll spend the whole time hovering chat. But we'll move on for now. But I yearn for the praise. Adam does yearn for the praise as well. Oh my god! But also gets absolutely raging when I criticise him. I feel like Adam's mood on a Monday evening is determined by this clipbook. I like the funny words, Magic Man. Very good. People need to realise that stuff happens. If you were just racing and not on stream chatting, entertaining folk the move. Yeah, that's the other thing as well. Like, it's not really comparable to real life because it's the same for everyone in creator series. But like, obviously, as a streamer, you get the instant live adrenaline focused reaction. Again, normally I don't regret how I reacted, but you know, there is that. Whereas obviously drivers and MotoGP riders tend to have a bit of time before getting a microphone shoved in their face and think about what they want to say. The overanalysis is why people tune into this. It's great, but people read too much into it. But look. I don't want people to be abusive or overly negative, but like the whole point of this is to analyze, right? It's fun. I enjoy figuring out what went wrong, deciding who was at fault, and very rarely 100% one person's fault, because normally the other person could have done something differently to at least lessen the incident, right? That's the same across any racing incident, right? I enjoy it. You guys enjoy it. That's why you're here. We enjoy having a debate. It's part of the fun. But just like I said, if you're genuinely getting really annoyed and you're being hateful towards anybody, then just chill. Just chill out. We're all here for fun, aren't we? Every single one of us. Even the viewers that maybe don't like to get too involved with chat or comments, you still see the comments, and it just makes it overly negative for everybody. It's just not necessary. Anyway, right, let's get on with it, shall we, guys? Let's, as I said, I haven't got too long today. So let's get on with the overtake. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to do something slightly different today. And I'm going to review all of my overtakes throughout the race. Obviously, normally, we cherry pick the ones that need analysing, tend to be the more dramatic ones. But today, we're going to do something a little bit different, because there was actually quite a lot of overtakes. We're going to look at all of my overtakes today. Not going to all analyse all of them all in minute detail, spend 10 minutes on each one. But we're just going to look at all of them, right? Obviously, as we go through, we'll analyse the incidents I was involved with, and after that, we'll get onto some clips of some other drivers. Right, let's do it. Oh. Hello? Here we go. We don't want that. Shh. Righty then. Here we go. Does feel like the negativity comes from outside, though. Like, most of us will drop a sarcastic comment for that. Would be silly. It's just a send. It's a bit of a talk. I don't think that's necessarily fair. Obviously, if someone's going to chat hop, it's generally going to be for a negative reason. So just after an incident, we are more likely to get more negative chat than we otherwise would do. But I don't know. I do think the F1 community in general is quite negative. That's not everything to do with incident analysis. It's just a general vibe I get. If you look at something like the running community, it's massively more positive. So it just kind of is what it is. But anyway, let's watch our race start first. See what happens here. Brazen 2 pole, by the way. I didn't even know that before. Go there, guys. Let's try to have a good launch here. 3 laps. Be myself, and let's just give a bit of time here. Here we go. So it was a good launch off the grid. Obviously having softs. Most people didn't have softs. Scotty in particular struggling a little bit off the start there. Now I go super aggressive here. I just decided to go for it today. We end up actually, which I didn't necessarily realize at the time, we end up 4 wide. Look, we're 4 wide. Thankful to Grid Jokes here for leaving me just enough room to just sneak up the inside there. And I pinched it quite hard right here because I knew that we were quite a lot wide and we ended up coming through. So that was a beautiful start straight up from P7. P10 to P7. Wanted to get Safso as well as soon as I can. Wanted to go up the inside there, but just couldn't quite do it. A little bit later on the lap, though, we do manage to sneak past him. We're quite opportunistic. This was partly a move knowing who Safso is. I knew that, generally speaking, if he sees a red proximity arrow, he will give room. And when I saw him leaving the door wide open, I thought, yeah, right, let's go for it. Let's just send it. He's in the dirty air. He's being cautious lap 1, so I decided to go for it. Bit of a slide there, but get nice alongside him. Honestly, I actually think this is quite a good example of potentially, like, again, going back to the Vince incident, because that was such a divisive one from last week, that it takes 2 to tango. No matter how clean your move is, if the defending driver wants to make it dirty, it will be dirty. So here, if Safso turns in, I'm sure we'd have a portion of the viewers right now thinking, oh, no, that's a bad move. Like, you know, like, I don't like it. It's not really overtaking opportunity. Have some patience. It's lap 1. Like, whatever they want to say, right? But obviously, as it is, we got it clearly stopped to the apex, and because he's given room, there's 0 contact. 0 contact. So it is always relative to the defending driver, because this was an aggressive move. In my opinion, it was completely 100% on, and that clearly shows. But it was an aggressive move. I do think if Safso turns in, then most people would say, yeah, actually, that was fair. But there probably would be 20 or 30% of the audience that would think, actually, that was on me for sending it. But it does take 2 to tango. We're super late that, actually a bit too late. A little bit in deep, but ultimately get the move done, and there we go, up to P6. So there's the overtake so far. One shot every time Vince is mentioned. I just think the Vince incident is so interesting because it's quite rare that I am 100% convinced that for me it was completely clean. I would do it again every day of the week, but the audience tends to disagree with me. That's quite rare that it's that polarizing. Normally it's like, oh yeah, I was maybe 60-40 and the audience maybe thinks it's 60-40 the other way. That's common, obviously. But when it's like 100% like, nah, in my opinion, I did nothing wrong. And a lot of the audience thinks, no, what you did was disgusting and dirty. That level of polarization is quite rare. So that's why I'm bringing that up. But anyway, right, I guess on with that. Obviously, next up, we've got the bed incident. I'm sure if you watch live, you may be aware of this. Now, I called this at the time that basically me feigning to the inside there, Ben tends to go deep. Now, this has happened a lot. There's lots of evidence of it, which is why I thought it was the case. It turns out afterwards, Ben was missing the braking boards, as I was there, and he just goes deep. That's also a common Ben mistake. But so basically, he goes deep there more because he missed the braking boards, I think, than I was pressuring him, although I'm sure if I was pressuring him, he would have been less likely to break that late. But still, whatever. I call at the time that it was me pressuring him. He called at the time it was braking boards. That's 2 opinions. So this is the first, obviously, controversial one. Now, on the exit here, first criticism that could be levied is about a bit of wheel dragging there, We'll get a better POV of that in just a bit. So put a pin in that for now. Then we've got, obviously, the point of turning. Now, I'm obviously, I don't think in this case anyone can deny that I'm alongside enough. Look, I'm halfway up his inside. It's not F1, you don't need to be ahead of the apex, but I'm halfway up his inside. He's obviously had a red proximity arrow for a number of times. This isn't a late dive bomb. I'm there. I've got better tyres. It's like I could have backed out. You could always back out, but I'm not going to back out at this point. But the key thing and the key reason this ended how it did is because of the fact that Ben's actions is called the Ben Daily, right? From this position right here, I was expecting him to turn in on me. I was ready for it. And when you're ready for it, you can normally correct the oversteer quickly enough that the other guy ends up getting nerfed wide. And that is what happened. So we'll go frame by frame. He turns in there quite aggressively, as you can see. First contact on the turning point is about there. So very, very early in the corner, but you can see the angle of Ben's car. He's going to basically hit his apex if I wasn't there. So as you can see at the bottom here, I'm turning right. Also a wheel underneath me here. I'm turning right because I'm obviously intending, if he leaves me room, to not hit him. But with the F1 game, when you're turning right like this and you get hit from the outside, your car slides. It's the defending car that slides. So that's exactly what happens. And this is why Ben does it, because he tends to get away with it. So as he hits me there, boom, by turning too aggressively, and also a bit of a wheel hook there. His rear wheel kind of pushed my front wheel, which will also cause an additional slide. I then slide to the right, As I'm sliding to the right, I obviously have to correct my oversteer. But again, because I knew he was going to do this, I was ready for it. So I then turn right, catch the oversteer. If you look, I'm not even going like fully right. I'm only a little bit right. I'm still trying to keep it as clean as I can. A little bit left. And then obviously here we have quite a big slide. We have to correct it a little bit more. Quite a big snap of oversteer there. And then I end up turning quite heavily into him, which pushes both of us wide. But you can see here at this apex, he hasn't given enough room, despite the fact that this contact has pushed him a little bit wider than he naturally would have been. Even despite that, he hasn't given enough room for a car that's completely fairly long up the inside. So I've then pushed him wide. Then there's more contact because I've drifted into him. So that's then caused another slide of my car. So I've had to catch another slide. Various bits of collision, all instigated by the fact that Ben turned in and didn't leave enough room. More contact there. I actually get a wing damage for it. More contact there. And here, he's eventually far enough away that we can get disconnected and I can actually turn right and he's no longer turning across me. There you go. So we're disconnected now and I'm turning, as you can see, in the bottom right, left here. I'm turning hard right now, trying to leave as much room as I can. Turning right, turning right, turning right. And at this point, I say something like, oh, yeah, you know, that's what you get. Get the bin, buddy. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The reason I thoroughly enjoyed it is because it's entirely predictable. It's known as the Ben Daily for a reason. He does it all the time. Normally he gets away with it. This time he didn't. And I thoroughly enjoyed that. So, yeah. End up obviously out wide, but that's because of all the contact. And then I just get on my race, and obviously Ben is out. So we will watch Ben's POV of this. Let me just grab it. And then we'll watch an even better POV of it. But this one, to me, 100% on Ben. The only way you could possibly put some blame on me is if you think I should have backed out, basically. 100% on Ben. Obviously, you know, not everyone's going to agree with that. You know, whether you're biased, whether you're not, there's always differing opinions, and that's absolutely fine. For me, 100% on Ben. I think most people agree from what I've seen so far, but obviously there's always going to be some people that don't. That's absolutely fine. So, there we go. This is Ben's POV here. So here, obviously, red proximity arrow, 100%. He probably knows I'm not going to back out as well, because obviously we're both aggressive racers. I'm also on softs. He turns in. Doesn't look too bad from Ben's POV, but clearly, I mean, look, there is no room for a car to be there. So clearly still turns in too much. Ends up then drifting wide and into the wall. Unfortunate retire. I did say afterwards, after I stopped laughing, I did say he didn't deserve to retire from that. Obviously, he's a content creator. He's got lots of viewers. I wouldn't have wished for him to retire from this. But ultimately, it's been his own causing by turning in too aggressively to a car that's completely fairly there. And he DNFs. It's unfortunate DNF. I wouldn't have wished that upon him. But look, he plays silly games. And this time, he finally won a silly prize. It's been a long time. A lot of times he's turned in on somebody that he has had nothing come back from it. Occasionally, he has a little whoopsie. I don't know if he's ever DNF'd from it. So it was quite nice to finally have it come back to him. And I think maybe in the future, maybe he'll think twice. But one more thing to cover, which I mentioned before about this incident, is the wheel hook. Now, you will see the wheel hook before. Now, this was, I'd say the wheel hook was pretty 50-50. The wheel hook was pretty 50-50 because I knew he was going to try and come over on me, and I basically was refusing to come over, right? We know it's the F1 game. We know you can have contact with very little consequences. I was like, I'm fairly alongside. I'm not going to allow him to potentially, we know Ben sometimes does do it, potentially come all the way across the track on me. He has done that before. I would basically, at the point I was alongside him with a similar exit, I was like, I'm not going to allow him to push me over. It's as simple as that. So I made that decision, which is what makes it 50% my fault, because I could have come over further and avoided the collision. If you look at Safso's POV here, which is the car directly behind, you can see the point of contact there. There's probably pretty much a whole car's whip to him between Ben and the edge of the track. I'm not saying that means it's on Ben. I'm just saying that it's not like I'm like squeezing him or turning left on him or squeezing him. It's obviously just the nature of this. The racing line tends to go slightly right to then curve back to the left so you can get a better line. Ben's trying to take that normal racing line with the car alongside. I'm refusing to give in that, and we end up making a bit of contact. To be honest, if you watch POV, the wheel hook barely does anything. Here we go. Look at our exits. Before any contact, there. That's the I mean, there's very little difference between our cars. There's a bit of wheel hook, but I honestly think that might be more lag than anything else. But look at our exit speeds. They are virtually identical. Virtually identical. It does basically nothing. Yes, I'd say this contact was pretty 50-50, but it doesn't really affect anything at this point. I was always, even if we didn't wheel hook, I was always going to still be alongside. It's a bit of a nothing burger. It's probably 50-50, but it also means nothing. So that's the bed incident. What do you guys think? Stops me from clearing me? No, I saw the exit was the same. Exit's the same. Stops me getting further away? Maybe. But if he stayed to the left, we wouldn't have wheel hooked. So he also came over on me. It's not like I've turned over on him to get the wheel hook. I've just refused to come over, which is aggressive. It's why it's 50, in my opinion, it's 50-50. Both could give more room. Yeah, I agree. But just racing, yeah, I agree. Expecting one to back out with a soft first start is unreasonable. I don't think anyone should be expected to back out in this situation. I think it's creative series. I think it's fun to stay alongside. I don't think Ben should have expected me to back out. I wasn't expecting Ben to back out. Let's just keep it clean and go side by side. Yeah, Tycho off was unlucky for sure. The wheel hook is more on you, but irrelevant. The main crash on him. Yeah, exactly. Like, honestly, I think you can call that either way. The fact is, it's not a big difference anyway. You saw from our exit speed, it's not a big difference in speed regardless. So no matter how you call it, it's just not a big thing. I absolutely still would have been alongside. He absolutely still would have had a red proximity arrow. He still would have turned in on me no matter what. What uploads? 60-40, yeah, I'll be happy with that. It just doesn't really matter. Hook is just racing. Don't think you blame anyone. Yeah, kind of agree. I do think you can use it to your advantage, and I did knowingly, to some extent, use my advantage. I'm just going. I'm not going to let him squeeze me. I'm just going to hold my line. I'm going to allow the contact because it's the F1 game. I made that decision, and that's essentially what contributed to the wheel hook. Anyway, right, let's move on. Oh, my chat keeps scrolling all the way to the top. Every time I scroll up a little bit, it scrolls all the way to the top. It means I just can't scroll at all. Nah, I literally can't scroll up. Anyway, all right, we'll have to move on then, chat. But yeah, like I said, for me, 100% on Ben that. The wheel hook, it could be more 50-50, but the actual incident, 100% on Ben. Not everyone's going to agree, but it seems to me that the majority agree. It's unfortunate Ben DNF'd. I wouldn't have wished that upon him, but he caused it. So, you know, it is what it is. Play silly games, win silly prizes. Okay, let's move on. We are looking at the rest of my race because we're going to look at all of the overtakes. So that was the Ben one. Lots of laughter by me. And I boxed. And then we get going again. So here we go. It's safe to go in this lap. So King Crypto here gets a bit quiet. I don't know why. He's still got his batch switched off. Look at the amount of time he's lost. He loses over a second to the cars in front. I'm not sure how it happens. But I sort of lift very slightly there to try and time it so that the yellow disappears there. And then I go past him. I brake nice and late. Safs also brakes nice and late. All done. Kind of in a straight line, but if you look, he was still alongside me in the braking zone, so I leave him a bit of room. And then we're all good. So nicely moved there. Not too much to say. We've got Mango up next. Hang on, that was Safso. Did he send it? No, no. Oh, yeah, actually, this is actually a good example of one that I call my fault that doesn't really matter. Listen to what I say here. Sorry, that was all me. Sorry. No harm done. I just get my warning. I don't admit fault, apparently. Okay. Like, there's times like this when it just doesn't matter. I obviously analysed it. I wouldn't normally have looked at that incident, right? That would have been consigned to the stream, maybe the video, and nothing else. I would never normally analyse that. Well, let's watch it one more time, just to see that I do admit fault, and sometimes it's my fault. I don't have too much battery, but I've got to. Sorry, that was all me. Sorry. So, apologies. Say that was all me. I back out of it as much as I can. I actually got away quite lightly there. That one was 100% me. That was my fault. Sorry. Just outbreak myself is all it was. Little mistake. Here we go. So now this one is another one that's 100% on me. We've got two in one lap. Another one I admitted as well. So Safso here on the better tyres goes around the outside beautifully. I leave him just enough room. And here, I understeer into him. Now that, obviously, I called it at the time, I called it correctly at the time, is 100% on me, and I even let him go despite the fact it cost me 2 positions rather than 1. Because here, he fairly goes him outside. I'm trying to send it here to discourage him from going for it, but I just can't quite, unfortunately, not squeeze him out, but he stays there. He doesn't back out, so I leave him the room on the exit. And here, when wheel to wheel going to this one, I just misjudge it slightly, And boom, little bit of contact there, pushes him wide, costs him a position, and I give it up. 100% on me. There's no real mitigating circumstances at all to this one. Often, it's quite rare that it's like like 100% someone's fault, and then there's no mitigating circumstances. Normally you go, that was on me, but this driver could have done this thing differently. There is nothing like that in this, which is why I gave it back. There is 0% on Razin because, Safso, because he leaves the room. He leaves perfect amount of room. I've got 0 complaints about the room he left. In fact, he judged it perfectly. And then he goes on outside, and just by the fact he's got better grip, he's able to hold to pinch slightly. I'm understeering because I'm on hards, and we meet in the middle. But it's on me. You can see I accelerate that. I do relift to try and get it right, but I almost judge it there, but a little bit of basically a wheel hook there ends up kind of bouncing us both wide. 100% on me. I said at the time, I gave it back, and that's it. There is no mitigating circumstance on this. 100% my bad. Safso lost out from it, so I gave it up, even though it also cost me a position to Ricky because that one was 100% on me. No mitigating circumstances. There we go. I let Ricky go, and then I ultimately let Safso go eventually. There he goes. Vince's fault. Yeah, agreed. Moving on. So we've got Mango up next. I think this is a pretty basic DRS overtake. Not so basic. He's not going to take it lying down. We just overtake up the inside there. Nice and easily done. No contact, no drama. Now we've got a bit of drama going on in front here. I'm not too sure what happened. It looks like my teammate turned over on map 2 and 2 a little bit by accident, which caused him to slide. He's got bad exit speed. Hero is terrified he's going to pit, so I wasn't sure if he had damage. Luckily he doesn't, so I come past. That was obviously a pretty basic DRS overtake. Cars in front having a little battle here. Ricky goes a little bit deep, causes a bit of contact. Also holds it out on the outside, though. And ultimately, Ricky, with some wing damage, decides to back out of there. That was some smart racing by him. And then I kind of wait to the end of the lap here. There we go. Knowing he's got wing damage. Send up the inside. Get it all stopped at the apex. He leaves the room. I'll do him on the exit as well because he's still alongside. And that's it. Move done. He gets a bit of a switchback on me there, but that was never really going to work with his wing damage. Ryan lets me through as well. Job done. Then next up, we've got Concept. Here we go with no DRS. He does go defensive this time, so I send him on the outside. Very nice and late. Leave him some room. Bit of contact there, but I think that was him drifting a little bit wide. Doesn't really matter. I've got moved done anyway. And then another move done. Up to P9. Then we've got a move on Safso, who pretty much lets me have it because his tyres were fading at this point. Again, get it stopped. Nice and easy. Basically, DRS overtake that one. Then we've got Scotty. I think I wait a lap. Yeah, wait a lap on Scotty. I wanted to recharge my battery a little bit. There you go. Again, that is very much a DRS overtake. I even retook the racing line. Nothing to talk about there. And then, there's not much now that happens for a bit because we catch these guys and they box right in front of us. So there's not really anything that happens. Actually, no, we do a switchback on Fabio. Hold on. Look at that. Awesome. It's a bit of a mistake there, but not a big one. Not enough for me to capitalise, really. I'm all over him here with much better tyres. Tried it around the outside. Ultimately decided to back out. I could see a potential was going to get squeezed onto the grass there, and ultimately it wasn't going to go my way anyway, so I decided to back out of that one. I thought this race was really good for you. I thought your racing was to a much higher quality in this, as in really good, really high quality racing. It mostly was. It obviously wasn't perfect. As long as you make up for his mistakes and something like this, it's all good. Oh, sorry, I literally completely forgot to cover the switchback. Wait, was the switchback here? No, it wasn't. That's later on. Sorry, ignore me. Crib was a DRS overtake. Literally nothing to talk about there. And then we're on our own for quite a bit. After the pit stop, though, we do eventually end up catching Fabio and Safso on older mediums. Now, this is an interesting one here because these guys sort of play a little bit of games here into turn one. They basically decide to collectively try and defend me, which was interesting. Here we go. So kind of half defensive there from Safso, but I'm slightly up his inside. But then Fabio here decides to block me off. I go for maybe the gap there, but then Safso comes over. This is not a gap. So I break there, no contact, and then decide to send it on the outside. Now, I'm a bit annoyed he didn't pull this off. This would have been an amazing clip to pull this off. So just judged it there. Round the outside. Safso, though, just goes a little bit deep, locks his brakes, slides, so end up being a bit of contact. We're out super wide here. I'm thinking, is he not going to give me room? Safso is normally very, very fair. He will always give room when there's a red proximity arrow. And, you know, I'm clearly alongside him here. So at this point, I was thinking, I even said at the time, like, come on, Safso, be fair, because I was surprised he was looking like he wasn't going to give me room. He does ultimately give me room. I actually end up sliding into him there and giving myself some damage, which wasn't ideal. He does ultimately end up giving me room, though, so I was correct in my judgment of Safso. He just basically was going deep and sliding and struggling to gather the car while I was, with much more grippy tyres, trying to go on the outside. So, yeah, honestly, I think if Safso doesn't slide here, I think there was a chance I could have gone on the outside, maybe. But with him sliding there, allows Fabio to come through on both of us. Bit of wing damage there. And then, yeah, so then we stay alongside, leave him the room, run deep there, though, and back out. And there's Safso claims his apex. So, all good. We live to fight another day. And here... Oh, that's right. So this one was actually dodgy. In my opinion, if Safso turns in on me here, this is on me. Because I kind of go for it, but it's similar to the Vince incident from a couple of races ago, from last race. I kind of half go for it. Which... Safso, very kind to me here. He probably does get red proximity arrow because it's on the inside. But leaves me just enough room. This was very much a half move. I know a lot of people think the Vince move was a half move. In my opinion, it wasn't. But this is very much half move because it's not much of a braking zone here. You can't really send it. So Safso was quite kind to me here. If he turns in on me, this is on me because I was... Even though he does get red proximity arrow along the inside. I'm basically hoping for him to jump out of the way here. That was very much a chance to move. We get away with it because he does ultimately leave the room. But that, in my opinion, would have been on me if he does turn in. He runs a little bit deep there, puts me in the gravel, but no harm done. I'm still up the inside. Now we've got a better grip here. Leave the room on the apex. Tiny bit of contact there as he again slides wide, trying to defend it, but with very worn tyres. And then we get the move done. He pits his lap. Then on Fabio. A little bit later on the lap, I was considering the same move, but what I thought I could do was make Fabio defend, which did actually work. So I know Fabio don't like to take things lying down, so he defends. As soon as he hits the brakes, I know he's going deep. I get the switch back. Much better grip. Move done. Nice and simple. Then we're on our own for a little bit again until after the safety car. Now this is where things get a little bit spicy. So... First of all, let's look at the safety car restart, because I did say at the time that I thought I could send it on Vince here. Because Vince there gets slightly tapped by Razin. All good. No one does anything wrong. But there was a gap there. But actually, I think with hindsight, I think that would have ended badly. So ultimately, no contact there. All good. Then I don't think I'm in a position to send it on Vince for a while. Still just kind of getting up to speed with everything. I think it might be this lap. Yeah, you can see I'm kind of closing in. Yeah, much closer to this lap. Let's see. Does defend. I'll try it on the outside. Brake much later. Just go a little bit deep. There's just not much grip on the outside. There's just not much grip. So ultimately I have to back out of that one. Same thing next lap. A little bit closer this time. But we know how he's going to defend the inside very aggressively. So we go for the outside. But we also know from the last lap we can outbrake him. So we do. There, what I try and do here is I try and not only brake a little bit later, because I saw I got it stopped in the previous lap relatively comfortably, but also try and like pinch it inside as much as I can to steal a little bit of that dry line while ultimately leaving him room. So there, braking late, but just, I wondered if I got a wheel on the grass here or something. There, look, you see how I go right to the very, very outside. There. Is my rear wheel on the grass there? It may well be. It may well be. But anyway, ultimately, what really happens is I just brake a little bit too late, and I'm just being ambitious. I'm just absolutely going for this. He's not going to give me the inside line. It's very hard to overtake on this track at the best of times, let alone in the wet. So I absolutely go for on the outside. The white line isn't more slippy in the F1 game, so that's not a thing. I actually basically have two slides here. Huge slide there. Gather it up now, but you see on the bottom here, I'm already back on the throttle. The very second that I gather it up, I'm back on the throttle in second gear because I know that Karim is so close behind. I'm thinking, okay, I've gathered it up. Let's get on with it. Let's stop let's stop Karim overtaking. But ultimately, that just caused a secondary slide. Thankfully, I gathered that up before I spin across Karim's front wing. So yeah, big moment there. Just being a bit too ambitious, just trying to go for it. No harm done. Obviously, no one was compromised by it. Yeah, and that secondary spin was very nearly a spin. But thankfully, it does come back to me. So then we're down to P5. So that leads us, of course, to the Karim incident, which was a little bit dramatic. Now, I was surprised that Vince left the inside line here for Karim. He didn't do that for me. Karim obviously is going to send that and gets it stopped. I'm very surprised he doesn't get the move done here. I think that slide there is the reason why. And now he's on the wetter line. Then he's going to have the dry line on the apex. But then Vince holds it very nicely on the outside. Very nicely done indeed. Here, I'm kind of seeing if anyone's going to go deep, but nothing doing. No contact. Karim is once again going in front on Vince here. Karim is a pretty good overtaker in the wet, I'd say. I'd say Karim is probably the fastest Creator Series driver in the wet. Vince defends it, though, very, very smartly there. It goes a little bit deep, but just keeps it on the dry line enough to stop Crim coming through. And Crim makes a little mistake here with the dirty air. He's gone deep. I've got clean air, so I'm thinking, okay, up the inside of the next corner, but just can't quite get there. So then Crim goes defensive. I can see he's going defensive, so I think, all right, get the dry line on the outside. Go for the switch back here. Doesn't quite work out. We're both trying to get on the power. A little bit of contact there, but I don't, in my opinion, that's not really anything because we're both trying to both turn right and get on the power. You can see we're both kind of squirming around. There he has a slide. There I have a slide. We just kind of meet in the middle. I don't think that's anything. I try to go on the outside here, but I know it's a not... The grip is less here on the wetter line. So I decide about this point here to back out of it nice and early. Go for the switchback instead. So... there we go. Just try and straighten the car the best I can on the drier line, which gives me a good exit. There we go. And I'm right on him. At this point, I don't think anyone could deny that this move is on. I know some of you disagreed with me on the Vince incident, but from the previous race. But here, it's absolutely on sender. I'm actually surprised Crim didn't defend this harder, honestly. I'm very surprised Crim didn't defend this harder because I think he's just trying to keep the drier line there and just put me on the wetter line, but I just think leaving the inside wide open. If I braked a little bit earlier, this would have been moved done. But ultimately, what happened is, and once again, I called it correctly live at the time. I brake a little bit too late. Now, this is an overtake that, in my opinion, those that were against my Vince send in Silverstone, they should like this. They should like this because this is basically the exact opposite of the Vince incident, right? The Vince incident, I braked just late enough to get alongside and he didn't give any room. This, I've braked unintentionally really late and I actually end up ahead, according to my proximity arrows, before the apex. That's how late I brake, which was too late. I said at the time, I don't like this kind of move. Personally, I prefer to race how I did against Vince in Silverstone. So I don't like doing this, but this is basically the polar opposite of the Vince move. And this, in my opinion, is what you guys prefer. I don't like it. All right, so there we go. Brake super, super late. Proximity arrow disappears there just before the apex. So on a technicality, and it is a technicality, so I'm not going to claim it, but on a technicality, according to my screen, this is move done. I'm ahead. I no longer need to give him room. It's move done, right? That's it. Doesn't matter how deep I run now because he's no longer alongside me. But that is very much a technicality. We know the proximity arrows aren't perfect in the F1 game. We know also that was wrong. He was still alongside me. But ultimately, obviously, while you're racing, it's very hard to judge these things. But I do get a white proximity arrow from this moment all the way through the corner. So, but that's a technicality. I said at the time, oops, I braked too late here. And my intention was to give this position back at this point because I in my opinion, this was too much. I went too deep. I braked too late. I was never going to be able to give him room. If he braked nearly as late as me, he would have been with still a red proximity out and I'd have had no way to give him any room. He was going in the gravel if he braked a little bit later through no fault of his own. 0% fault, 100% on me. So because of that, I didn't like it. My intention was to give it back, despite the technicality of being ahead, because that is very much a technicality. So there you go. I braked super late. White proximity out, there you go, all the way through until that point. So at that point, I genuinely thought I might get away with it because it went white. I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'm okay. But then obviously at this point here, I'm going deep. I can feel the contact as well, so I know that he's still alongside me because I can feel it there. You can see the car straightening quite a bit. Just if you look dead ahead there, you can see the car kind of wobbling. It straightens a little bit because he's kind of dragging on me. Yeah. So like I said, my intention was to give this back. So clearly, I'm considering this at this point my fault. And like I said, I called it right at the time. I haven't changed my opinion on that. Karim. Now this is where we get into the segment where I analyze other people's actions, which people often take as me absolving myself of fault. That is not what I'm doing. I've just admitted that this was too much in my opinion and that I was going to give the position back. You cannot admit fault more than intending to give the position back, all right? Draw a line under that. I've admitted fault, all right? Before the never admit fault crowd come in. Now let's look at Krim's POV. And that's, I think, where I come unstuck a lot of time is I almost divide up the move into what other people could have done differently. And once I establish that I should have done differently, i.e. not brake that late, a lot of the time, I then move on to what they could have done differently, which then makes people think, oh, well, that means that you don't think it was your fault, which just isn't the case. But I get it, because that is how I come across.
Buddy?
DB's fault, agreed. There we go. So this is Krim's POV. So obviously, again, I'm surprised did he look behind particularly? There you go. There's the switchback. Does look behind. He knows I'm right there with a good exit. Yeah, he looks behind plenty. But yeah, he just doesn't go fully defensive, which obviously he's entitled to defend exactly how he wants to. Red Proximity Terror from this point. And there you can see I'm going deep. Now, again, doesn't change my actions, but in my opinion, Karim is not smart here, right? Regardless of what I've done, we're drawing a line under that now. Karim is not smart here. At this point, I've hit the brakes. I'm going deep. There's nothing more I can do. I've made a mistake. I've not made a mistake. Whatever you think about it, whatever Karim thinks about it, I cannot change my actions at this point. My car can't disappear. I can't get the car stopped any better. I can't go right anymore. There is nothing I can do, right? At this point, I've done something that's over the limit. I cannot correct it in this moment. However, Karim's actions here, despite being a millimeter alongside me, but still alongside me, decides to do what the AI does, which is a very strange action, and just turn right a lot. Just lock onto me here, which just drags us both even wider. You can see I'll play it through at full speed. Watch my car moving. As he's turning across me, my car's kind of straightening. It's the weird collision physics in this game. There. So again, regardless of my fault, which I've already admitted, Karim is not smart here because at this point, by going full lock and dragging on me, he's making the situation worse. Does that make it his fault? No, it doesn't. But it does mean he's making the situation worse by dragging on me. What I would have done in this situation is braked a little bit more and gone for the switchback because I was going so deep. He probably would have got the switchback, honestly. Worst case scenario, he'd have been side by side me for the next corner. He would then been on the inside for the final corner and probably would have stayed ahead, right? That's how the racing would have gone. But look, that's what I would have done. He's obviously decided to take different action, but his actions ultimately have made it worse at this point because he's dragged us even wider. But ultimately, even if he doesn't drag on me, there wasn't going to be a car set for him around the outside. So I've still gone too deep. Anyway, at this point though, and this is the reason that I didn't give the position back, and I was, again, absolutely right at the time. My suspicions were correct, and I even said at the time, if I'm wrong, then my bad. I will have to make up for it in the future. But in my opinion, he's accelerated into me through the gravel. And that's exactly what he does. Check out his inputs here. Here's the throttle input. So at this point, so you're facing this, right? Again, whether I made a mistake or not is irrelevant at this point because he is in this situation. No matter whether you can blame the other guy for what he's done, you're in this situation, right? Obviously, the smart plan here is to brake a little bit, get back on the racing line and try getting back somewhere. We know with hindsight, which he would not have known at the time, I was going to give the position back. There was no way for him to know that. So he decides to take action on track instead, effectively take revenge on track instead. And again, I'll put this in slow-mo. Here we go. Look at his inputs here. The second he gets to the gravel, look at that. I hate how Twitch does this. Stop. Sake, hang on. Hold on a minute. There we go. Right. Speed, 0.25. Play, pause. Perfect. So, yeah. So, at this point, again, he can blame me all he likes, and he would be correct to blame me. But at this point, doesn't change the situation. He then decides to accelerate. The second he gets to the gravel, he can see what's happening. He chooses to accelerate. Half throttle there. Lifts a little bit. More half throttle, half throttle, half throttle, half throttle, half throttle. 3/4 throttle. This is only ending one way. Unfortunately for Karim, I think there was a little bit of a lost head in the middle of all this. Frustration at me sending it too hard on him, rightly so, I get it, but two wrongs don't make a right. So as he decided to take his revenge on track, I decided, well, you got your own back. You tried to drive into me, which can only be what this is described as. There is only one outcome of him accelerating on this line through the gravel. Even if I was further to the right, he was always going to smash into the side of me. It was just a bit of frustration from Karim here. It's as simple as that. And then ultimately has the slide and has the spin, which was only going to go one way. It was only going to go one way. So ultimately, Karim caused his own spin. It obviously wouldn't have been a spin if he acted differently, which is why I decided, look, if he's going to get frustrated and accelerate into me through the gravel, then he's had his revenge, and that's it. So I just opted not to give the position back from that point onwards. So yeah, there you go, chat. There you go. That's definitely a controversial one. I completely accept that. But as I said, doesn't change the fact. I braked too late. I did it wrong. I was planning to give the position back. I just opted against it when I saw Karim's actions. Simple as that. You're so far wrong on this one. Oh my God, chat. It keeps moving. He's trying to get back on the track, that's all. But he's accelerating through the gravel at a 45 degree to the racing line. I guess it's a bad rejoin, is I guess the way to word it. It's a horrible rejoin. It's only going to end one way. Yeah. But obviously, I'm the one that put him out there, and I get that, even though he, in my opinion, should have reacted differently to my mistake. But ultimately, he's opted against that. Sounds like Alex wants an apology, Karim. Yeah, I do. Please apologise, Karim. Trying to recover and slamming into another driver is very different. Anyone also assuming that he's trying to get back on track? You again do not know. Genuinely, Krim is the only guy that 100% knows. Yeah, true. He should stop in the gravel. I mean, he should try and avoid rejoining at a 45-degree angle to the racing line is what he should try and do. Definitely. It was an aggressive rejoin, but not revenge. I'm just trying to get back on the track ASAP after being wronged. Yeah. Like I said, it's clearly not like a massive head loss where he's like, oh, I want to kill him. Like, it's not that bad. DB, oh my God, I literally can't reach out. It's moving too much. DB, if he cuts the track, he risks getting a penalty, and also none of us know how to optimally rejoin these conditions. Yeah, true. I think one thing we can agree on, though, optimal rejoin is not accelerate through the gravel at 45-degree angle to the racing line. That is going to go badly. The fact Alex put him there doesn't mean he can just do that. If he went there himself and then punted someone, he'd be vilified. Yeah, true. Good point. But like I said, to me, it's very much an incident two halves. Up to the point of the apex, I've done wrong by going deep, and the fact I'm not going to be able to give him room. I believe he should have gone for the switchback, but that's a decision that he makes. He's not done anything wrong by not going for the switchback. He's just decided against that. He decided to take different action, but ultimately his action then made it worse. And then, yeah, in my opinion, he's done wrong by accelerating through the gravel into the side of me. But I know you guys disagree, and that's absolutely fine. But it doesn't change the fact that it was still me that drifted into him. You are taking accountability and then putting the other car at fault for every situation when some of them are honestly 100% on you. Don't really know what that means. If Alex wasn't there, he would have spun. Yeah, it's an interesting point. I don't know about that. Let me watch it again. See the movement of his car. Oh. I reckon he would have spun in that situation. Which let me have a pixel left. Let me have a pixel. There you go. Let's see, because he did have very dirty tyres, so accelerating onto the racing line is a brave one. Maybe. He did have a slide into me. I'm not sure we can say with any real confidence that he would have spun if I wasn't there, to be honest. I mean, he did have that huge slide there because he's been so aggressive into me, but he did catch it before he hit me, so I don't think that's a fair conclusion that he would have spun regardless. Ben wrong in the Crim incident, you wrong in the Ben wrong in the Ben incident, you wrong in the Crim incident. Yeah, I agree. Puts him in the gravel, blames him for accelerating through the gravel. Yes, it was my fault for putting him in the gravel. I did not control him to make him accelerate. Simple as that. Did you even attempt to allow him room to rejoin? Honestly speaking, at the time, I didn't, because obviously I didn't expect him to accelerate through the gravel directly onto the racing line. Obviously, the gravel slows the car down. And bearing in mind, at the point, in fact, that's actually a really interesting point. At the point of leaving the track, I was almost entirely ahead. You got to remember that, guys. The only reason he's got back to being wheel-to-wheel with me is because he's floored it through the gravel. That's the only reason. Here we go. So, brake too late. Contact. Both going wide because of it. This is the point that he left the track. Why would I remotely imagine that it's my fault I put him in the gravel, but he is in the gravel now. That's just a fact. That from being this much alongside me, would he then end up wheel to wheel me at the apex? There was no possibility in my mind that this would be an outcome, that he would just accelerate directly to the next apex. I didn't imagine that was going to happen. That's why I didn't give room, because I didn't expect him to accelerate straight to the side of me. Simple as that. I did not, in a million years, expect to do that from the position of being basically completely behind me, barring 10 centimeters. to then getting wheel to me by flooring it through the gravel. I literally could never predict that. That's why I didn't leave room, because I just didn't expect him to be there. It's as simple as that. But yeah, like I said, I put him there. I think people are concentrating on the bit where I'm analysing the things he did wrong, in my opinion. I know you may disagree, and that's absolutely fine. But I put him there. That doesn't absolve me. As I said, my intention was to give the position back at that point until he accelerates into the side of me. Yeah. We don't need to go off F1 rules. That's not a useful thing to do because it's not F1. Same as like, but league racing rules, etc. Yeah, concept model does make it worse. That's true. He's off track because of you. That's the main thing. In my opinion, if you put someone off track, legally or not, and look, people have been banned in VSC ranked for this. If you put someone off track, illegally or not, that does not give the car who's been put off track the right to smash into the other car. It just doesn't. Now, this isn't F1. You don't have to be 100% careful with a rejoin where you should brake and be very cautious, almost like the AI do, right? Where they literally stop sometimes in the off track waiting for a position. Like, obviously not. You should try and rejoin as quickly and as safely as you can. But just because you've been pushed off track, that does not give you the right to smash into somebody. Absolutely not. And in fact, if you do, in VSC rank, that would be considered a vengeful action, and we would give you a season ban for that. Simple as that. Open and shut. Not in this case. In the Crim case, he wouldn't get a season ban. I don't know how it would go in VSC rank. Actually, it's a different rule set over there. But it wouldn't be a season ban. But I'm talking in general. Just because you've been wronged by somebody doesn't give you the right to wrong them back. That's it. End of story. Right, anyway, should we move on? Alex is wrong. Looks like most of you disagree on the on the Crim driving through the gravel, and that's absolutely fine. Check Meraki's clip. What's Meraki's clip? This. Oh, is this a bit before? I don't know. I think you guys are saying that that's 100% on me, the contact. Obviously, you've got to bear in mind that when you slide in this game, you basically go hard right. We see this in spins and stuff that like people literally, in fact, we'll see it in a bit on Vince, actually. Really good example on the last lap. We see that very shortly. Here, that slide he has there puts him much further right than he would have been without that slide. So now, very suddenly, within a split second, his line is adjusted. And I'm obviously, in the meantime, also trying to get on the power. So we end up meeting in the middle. I don't think that's anything, especially considering it made no difference whatsoever. I think if I'd overtaken him as a result of that, you would maybe have a case, but it literally did nothing whatsoever. He's still on the racing line here. He's not like there has been no impact on that on the incident whatsoever. So I don't think it's relevant particularly, but. Yeah. I overstayed into him. But partly I overstayed into him because his car has had a very quick adjustment of line. Simple as that, really. But again, I just don't, there's nothing. There's contact all the time in the F1 game, especially in Creator Series. And a lot of it is, like, who cares? Do you know what I mean? And that's where I foul that. Like, I don't care. Same as I got hit on the apex of turn 1 while making an overtake by, I think it was Concept 7. And I was like, okay, move on. Like, it cost me a few tenths of race time. So what? Who cares? Like, it doesn't matter. It's far under that, I think, in my opinion. Anyway, that's what keeps you alongside. Yeah, again, I would agree if I overtook him in the next corner. I would be in agreement that is significant and is relevant. The fact that I oversteered into his side pod. I would agree with that. But it made a difference at the end. All right, let's get on with it, guys. Let's move on. So, the only other thing to review really is Vince after that. So, this is Vince. Took me a couple laps to catch him back up, but I do eventually catch him back up. Tried to go for here, but just ultimately wasn't close enough. I did have a little look at attacking him, and it did look to me like he turned a little bit early with that response with my feigned move in mind. And then, unfortunately for him, he actually defends really well here. There, I thought he was going to go deep and doesn't. He gets it stopped really nicely, hits his apex really nicely done. I said that at the time as well. Unfortunately for him, though, does he get on the grass? I think he gets on the grass. Yeah, I think he does. Has a huge slide. And ultimately come through. And this is a good example of what I was saying before on the slide with Crim. the weird ass physics in this game are not like a sim where if a car spins or slides, they go that way, they go the way of the momentum. In this game, if you slide like that, rather than going that way like you should, you kind of come that way. And the fact that Vince's car there snaps right again, very similar. Not nearly as extreme in the Crim incident, obviously, but very similar there. Big slide. I'm thinking, okay, no worries. I now look like I'm clear. Suddenly, there his car just grips and goes right really suddenly, which just isn't realistic physics. But I'm just trying to judge the physics best I can. A little bit of contact there, but I don't think anyone's complaining about that. It just is what it is. And yeah, I get P3. Very unfortunate for Vince. And that's it. There you go. That was all my racing. So probably I'd say 80% of my overtakes in that race were 100% clean, as in no incident, no review needed, nothing to talk about. Probably even more than that, actually. But there was definitely more than I'd like in that one, no doubt about it. We obviously had the Crim one, the Ben one, and then the Safsta one. They were the major ones. Safsta obviously gave it back. Ben, in my opinion, is 100% on Ben. Crim one is the way I summed it up at the time was I started it, Crim finished it, which I feel like is a reasonable conclusion. But anyway, that's it. That's all of it. Ricky incident. Yeah, so let's have a look at some clips now. I haven't got very long, guys. I've only got half an hour left. Sorry, I've been waffling. But the most of the incidents, well, there was enough incidents, put it this way, from just my race to review that we needed a bit of time there. Okay, so let's hopefully the clip book thing has been done, has it? Race notes. Cross. Here we go. Nice. There's some in there. There's 27 in there. So, Adam's overtake on grid. Just purely because Adam's here for some praise. Let's have a look at this. Was this nice? Oh, actually, yeah. Before we look at it, that's one more thing I want to adjust. There's so many people saying, oh, race ban, race ban, race ban. That's obviously just raging fans. That's absolutely fine. Just for future reference, the penalty system in Creator Series is a warning system. So your first incident, you get a warning. Second incident, you get a quali ban. Third incident, you get a race ban. That's how it works. It resets every season. I'm on 0 warnings so far this season. If Crim decides to report it, which wouldn't surprise me, they may judge that I get a warning, and that'll be it. There is no more to be said on that. It won't be a race ban. They can give an instant race ban, but it would need to be something purposeful. I think ultimately, you look at my move on Crim. It's not like I've done anything outrageously bad. Like I've just braked a little bit too late. We see it all the time in Creator Series, all the time. However, we know Creator Series doesn't necessarily apply the rules fairly across the grid, so it wouldn't surprise me if I get a warning for it. I think, yeah, we tend to hold different people to different standards, so we'll see. But worst case scenario, it's a ban. Is that not a ban? Sorry, a warning. Okay, let's have a look at Adam's move. Opportunistic. Very opportunistic. Get it. Yes. Nicely done. I'd say quite generous by grid jokes. I don't know. I wouldn't say it's gifted by grid jokes. But I don't think that move would work against some other drivers. Nice judge, though. Very, very nicely done there, look. This is the corner that I went deep and hit Safso. So he judges that well and leaves a good back room. So nice move. Right. What else have we got? Oh, yeah, I do want to see this, actually. This was a massive slide that allowed me to overtake him. Plasky overtaking the stream.
Yeah, great. Ryan's got 0 awareness.
Honestly, completely fair conclusion. Completely fair conclusion. 0 awareness for Ryan. For Ryan. Vince takes the lead, tidy overtake. Hello. I clicked the wrong one. I don't think I did. It was a Google glitch.
It's quite close. He's done well, did Eurus.
Very nice. Very nice. Beautiful. 0 contact. Very, very nicely done, guys. GG's. Lolly, incredible overtake on Razin. Hell yeah, sign me up for a bit of an incredible overtake. Oh, I thought he was going to go for a dive. Bit of contact there, guys. Makes it illegal. There's just going to be another battery overtake then, similar to the Adam one. Rather than either saving battery or low on battery. Here we go. Right. Good. Well clipped that one, chat. Very perfectly clipped. There we go. Nicely done. Ooh. That was either lag or Razin turned the cross on him a little bit there. That was an unfortunate contact.
Closest stumble.
Oh, is this also still not? Oh my god, it's literally the same thing. Get! Wait, it's not even the same lap. Wait, yes it is. What? Oh no, next lap.
Well,
Here we go. It's another nothing burger. Like, there's always lots of contact in the F1 game, especially in Creator Series, and like, I'd say that probably was more on Razin, but like, as long as there's not been any significant outcome from it, it doesn't matter. If that meant that Razin was able to keep the position, I'd say bit naughty. As it was, who cares? Who cares? Fabin and Razin overtakes on the same corner. Fabin, did I say Fabin? Fabin. You do these after 12-hour race? Yeah, fair. Oh, I thought he was going to send it. Oh, he will in the next corner. On the outside. Oh, I see. It's in sync.
Hello,
Oh,
Mr.
beautiful.
Shut up!
Not a good exit.
Do you have any comments on your
That's not going to fight too hard, though. Oh, my God. It's literally the same. That is incredible. What a clip that is. Literally both doing the same thing at the same time. That is incredible. Great clip. Love that. It's lovely overtake on 2. Let's see this. Same thing, innit? On the outside this time, though. Very nice. Bit of contact again, but all good.
Big move.
Left enough room. Got sideways after contact with Adam. Here we go. Here we go. This is what I came for.
I meant your stream.
Pretty good.
How far away?
Oh, Scotty! Leave the.
If you want to talk about a driver that's never their fault, you're looking at the right streamer right here. This guy is never at fault. Always. It's always. During the incident, it's always like other driver's fault. I tend to react, like I said, I tend to judge incidents quite well at the time. Adam is the exact opposite of that. Adam will always blame the other driver 100% of the time at the time. Afterwards, sometimes he'll change his mind, but it's always the other drivers. Anyway, let's look whose fault it actually is.
How far away?
Oh, Scotty!
I don't know about this. I reckon Scotty might have lost the proximity arrow.
How far?
Pretty good.
How far away?
Oh.
In my opinion, at this point here, you've got dirty air, Scotty has not. The odds of this going well are very slim.
How far away?
I reckon, I don't think we've got Scotty's clip, but I reckon Scotty loses the proximity arrow there, which I think is mitigating enough that I don't think he does anything wrong.
Pretty good.
How far away?
It's just... He's just got so much dirty air. The odds of him drifting slightly wide into Scotty is so high.
Oh, Scotty! Leave the. Oh.
I'm calling that pretty much 50-50. Like racing incident, because
Oh, Scotty!
Scotty could have left more room,
How far away?
but from here, it's just not going to go well. 50-50. Oh, incredible move with an exclamation mark, chat. Hold on. My proximity was flickering between red and white. Okay, fair. Yeah, you probably should have left a little bit more room there, but whatever.
Okay, the car behind is dropping back. We're seeing a gap starting to form.
Probably would have been Loving that. Cheeky little bit of clip farming. Cheeky little bit of clip farming. Nicely done. Nothing spectacular. Not deserving of the exclamation mark in my opinion, but nicely done. You can break the super late on the outside there because of the camber. With lots of contact, yeah, that's fair. Now this is the main controversial incident, right? So I think this is the last thing. This is the last thing. So this is the last thing, guys. So this basically, now team games are banned in Creator Series, right? You are not allowed, and it's absolutely clear in the rules because we had it before and nobody liked it. It's absolutely clear. You are not allowed to get involved in the fight for the lead as a lapped car. Absolutely 100% ironclad rule. Simple as that. Simple as that, right? So Ricky there lets Lolly go nice and easily and then stays there. I think at this point you can kind of go, you know, he doesn't have to jump out his way immediately, but you can see he's maybe, you know, not being so kind to Razin as he was to Lolly.
Are you seriously going to block me?
And Razin's already suspecting it. And here you go, yeah, he's doing this on purpose. But that's not great. Bear in mind how close this is in the final 5 laps of the race.
Is this guy serious? Is this genuinely what they're doing?
And now Razin's reaction is completely fair. At this point, the previous 2 corners, you can kind of go, bit cheeky, not an out-and-out rule break. This now, 100% rule break.
This is so scummy, man. Move. Move, man.
And he's just been held up.
Scumbag tactics.
Now, he's already been given a race ban for this, as Ricky. Now, I said earlier there's a warning system. This was such an obvious open and shut case of team play that we don't want to see. He's been given an instant race ban for it, which honestly I'm not against. It's not like, you know, it's not a purposeful takeout. It's not outrageously bad, but...
Oh, piss off, man.
And then also we lets him through there, and then...
Great way to ruin content, dudes.
And Razin highlights it perfectly there. That's why it's banned, because at the end of the day, I don't really care how big a streamer you are or what clips you want to farm for your own personal content. I can pretty much guarantee you that more people care about the fight for the lead than they do for a lap car doobie-doing, or for that matter, the Constructors' Championship. People are tuning in to see a last lap battle or you know, a fight to the end for the race win. If this gets negatively affected by someone doing something for results, which we know is very anti-Creator Series. Creator Series is all about content. It's about entertainment. It's about making good races. It's not about results. And I've heard it before. When I've cared about results, I don't enjoy Creator Series when I care about results. This can only be done for results. It is anti-content in a content league. So it's completely wrong. Look, it's not that deep. He's just decided to do it to try and help his teammate win for the Constructors' Championship point. You know, that's it. It's not like he's completely taken Razin out. Do you know what I mean? It's not that deep. And I got to be honest, I do think a race ban is maybe a touch harsh. I think if we took Razin out, it's absolutely a race ban. I think with him holding him up by about a second, instant race ban, maybe harsh. Maybe harsh. I think an instant quali ban might have been fairer. Or, as he's done this for Constructors' Championship reasons, docking some Constructors' Championship points. That could be a good way of doing it. But look, like I said, it's anti-content. It's pretty open and shut. It's a very clear case of not doing what you should be doing in Creator Series. Ricky's owned up to it. He said, yeah, like I just was trying to help my teammate. Like, my bad, guys. I'll take whatever punishment comes my way. He's been very matter of fact. So, yeah, but it's fair. But it's only cost him a second. You shouldn't be doing it, but, you know, it is what it is. We've seen it before. It is disappointing that it's happening now that it is a hard and fast rule, but yeah. I get more annoyed by a certain driver retiring nearly half the races. Oh, I don't even know who you're referring to. You've had many of those over the years. Server ban? Yeah, agreed. Lifetime ban. Season ban, I need to set an example. Nah, like, if this was happening a lot, then yeah, it needs to come down hard. But it's the first time we've seen it, I think, since the rule's been introduced. So it seems harsh, but equally, again, it's a very open and shut thing. So I'm not calling it outrageously harsh. Keep in mind, we all let him unlap himself. Yeah, true. Yeah, so we all let him through on the safety car, and then he just does that. It's a shame. It's a real shame. Because like I said, everyone's there for the race, to see the race win. That's what people want. The fact he's on his own in last place, like what content is he producing by doing that? It's anti-content on everyone's point of view. He's not got good content by slightly holding someone up as a blue flag driver. Razin's content's obviously gotten worse because he can no longer attack the leader. And Lolly's content is also worse. Although it gives him the win, it means there's no fight for the win. So, like, it literally, and all the viewers, any viewer watching from home has also got worse viewing because even if you're not viewing one of those streams, if you're viewing the Creator Series stream, it's also worse because you know now you're not going to see a fight for the lead. So, look, it's not great. But anyway. It's giving me content. Yeah, true. It's not anti-Clipbook content. Very good point. You'd be surprised with the type of garbage TikTok audience is willing to watch. True. The worst bit is he slowed down massively in the last 4. Yeah. I don't think it really matters how he ended up there. He ended up there. He chose to do it on purpose, and that's it. All right. Let's have a look at the standings then. You guys want to see the standings before we head off? So let's go grab those up, and then I'm going to head off. Definitely more reviewing my stuff today, but hopefully you guys enjoyed. There you go, there's the standings. So I'm actually up to 5th place, which I think is probably my target this season. 5th place. I'm only 4 points ahead of Vince, so that could be a battle that runs to the end. We had another battle in this race, so it'd be good to have a season-long battle with Vince. But I am banned from this race. No, I'm not really. I'm just not here. I'm away. I'm going to Wales for a little family holiday, which is annoying because I've now realised it's the first race of the F1 season, so I don't know how I'm going to... I wanted to do a stream watch along for it, but anyway, I don't know. I'll figure out my content, but I won't be doing Creator Series. So yeah, not here for this weekend, guys, which obviously is going to hold me back in the run-in. But I'm hoping I can still come back to 5th place. As I said, I was never going for the championship this season. But anyway, on to the other people. Obviously, Lolly took a pretty commanding lead there. Razin's gone up to P2. I think he was P4 for this. So Razin, in my mind, is still in championship contention. I've said it all along. He needs to cut out the bottles. But Razin absolutely can still win the championship. I think Lolly is probably going to be the favourite from here. 18-point gap with just 4 races to go, plus a sprint. But he's still in it. I think Karim... That's the other bit. That's the other thing about our incident is that he didn't need to accelerate into the side of me. Whichever fault you put it, Karim wasn't blameless. Even if you think it was 90% on me, Karim wasn't blameless. I think if he finished just behind me in P, would that have been P5? I think he finished. Where did he finish then? P7, P8. He'd have more points now. 29 points back with 4 races to go. Look, I'm not ruling them out because it's Karim, and we know how good he can be. But a DNF in round 1, only 10 points in Canada. And then only 10 points again in Zandvoort. And then Ben, obviously, DNF. So it's interesting, 2 championship contenders I had incidents with. Ben with his DNF, I think he's going to struggle for the championship from there. He doesn't win enough races, I think, to come back from there, unless attendance comes into it. But I think ultimately, I don't think Ben will be able to win the championship from there. You never know. You never know. He could win a race. Lolly could DNF. Suddenly he's right back in it. But I would be surprised if Ben wins from there. Like I said, he doesn't win enough races. He gets a lot of podiums, doesn't win enough races. Look at his performance this season. 16 points, 16 points, 16 points, 20 points, 18 points. Very consistent, other than DNF, but ultimately missing out on the big 25. Outside my control now, really? Yes and no. Karim, I reckon if you win all 4 of the remaining feature races, which... look, it's not impossible. It's unlikely in Creator Series. It's unlikely no matter how good you are, but it's not impossible. I think if he wins all 4 races, that alone is 20 points, and he's 29 back. So yeah, statistically speaking, he needs a bit of bad luck for the people, but Lolly is not going to be P2 in all 4 of those races. I would put a lot of money on Lolly not being in the top 2 for all 4 final races. I think I would be surprised... Let's say Karim wins all 4 remaining races. I'll be surprised if Lolly is second in more than 2 of them. So I think there is an opening. But yeah, it's unlikely. It's unlikely. It would be a turn up for the books for sure. But I think it's not impossible. I think Razin's obviously got the best chance of competing with him, but Lolly from here should be able to take the championship home, but it won't be it's never as easy as that to win a championship. So yeah, we'll see. Ben's a midfield driver. Absolutely brutal. He's not. No, he's not. But Ben is... He's not quite got the winning... like... ability in Creator Series in a lot of ways. That doesn't mean he doesn't win races, because of course he wins races. If you're there or thereabouts often enough, you're going to win some. But often he's just missing a little bit of pace. And often the strategy is just a little bit awry. And often he gets involved in a few too many incidents. It's all very minor stuff, but when you add them up, that's why he doesn't ultimately win enough races. And he just misses just that little tiny bit. There's days, of course, when he gets it all together. But correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's pretty rare that Ben wins a race on just outright, like he was always going to win that race. Pretty rare that Ben's just out front, chilling, dominating. It was always looking like he was going to win it. Is that fair? I feel like that's fair. Another vids, Alex. Thank you, Fabio Cycling. Appreciate that. How is Lolly so good now? Well, I think it's just practice. Like, it's not like he's gotten to the point where none of us can match him. Like, he's just suddenly on the pace, and he has shown flashes in the past of being on the pace. He's just inconsistent track to track, but he's sorted out this season. I would guess he practices more. That'd be my guess. Safety car merchant. I don't think he is anymore. I think he used to be. I don't think that's true anymore. Ben's strategies aren't that bad anymore. They're not bad anymore. Finish first must finish. Yeah, true. Ben wins when he's not in a position to win. I actually think Ben has probably won more races when halfway through you never would imagine Ben winning the race than he has ones where you would have thought, yeah, he's in contention here. I actually think that's a majority of his wins, which is crazy. But like I said, you put yourself. I'm not taking no disrespect, because you put yourself there or thereabouts often enough, and you're going to win some. Like, it's not like he's a bad driver. He's very, very close in almost every way. And obviously we know consistently, because of that, his consistency is unbelievable. His racecraft is very, very strong. So yeah, anyway, that's enough for me, guys. Hope you enjoyed the Clipbook today. Obviously lots to review. As always, keep it civil in the comments. Don't abuse anybody, me or anybody else. You're more than welcome to debate. You're more than welcome to have your opinion. Just make sure you're keeping it civil. Make sure you're being respectful at all times. We don't like to see people getting hate in the comments, people getting overly negative. Remember, if you're not enjoying it, if you're genuinely that angry at Creator Series, then maybe it's not for you. We're all doing it for fun. Every single creator, every single viewer, we're all here for fun. It's basically an exhibition match. There's nothing here there's no prize money, there's no nothing. We're all doing it just for funsies. We all want to win. We all want to race largely fairly. Mistakes happen. It's Creator Series, guys. It's carnage. That's why we love it. That's why the Clipbook exists. Anyway, guys, catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Right, if you're watching live, guys, I'm going to head off. If you're watching on YouTube, I will catch you on... Well, of course, I'll do both streams everywhere, but I tend to go off YouTube first because I tend to go and do a raid on Twitch. But if you're watching on YouTube, I'll next be live... Tomorrow, two-player career. Ben has messaged me. His imaginary friends have vanished into thin air. It's really weird. So tomorrow, I assume the normal time, 4 p.m. UK time. Not 100% on that. Tomorrow, two-player career, guys. Then we'll have probably some iRacing Arcade on Wednesday. Then on Thursday, we got iRacing Creator Series. And then that's it. Then I'm off on my little holiday. So yeah, guys, thanks for joining me today. Thank you for your all your comments. Thank you for all your debates. Always appreciated to get some other POVs, even if we all disagree. That's part of the fun, isn't it? Guys, catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.